Showtime! It's the Lads from Dark Previews back once again, previewing round 3 of the National Rugby League. But quickly, Luke, not going to ask you how you are today, mate, but how did you go last week? What was the record?
3-1 for me. So not a bad, considering my tipping, I actually went 3-8 in footy tipping. So the 3 that I was confident in, I seem to have stuck by. But so I went 3-1. So overall 6-2 for the season. How about you?
Not as well as you did. I went 2-2. Nailed my first 2. Thought I was flying. Absolutely shit the bed with the last 2. We did say in the last episode it was going to be a tough round, and it surely was. How many underdogs won last week? Yeah.
Well, basically from Saturday afternoon, basically onwards, was all underdogs.
What, the last 4 games?
Dolphins were underdogs. Dogs were underdogs. Dragons were underdogs, and so was the Knights going to Leichhardt. So, yeah. Maybe that one would have close to pick them, but
yeah. Answer your question there, Lachlan. Luke is on the left because he's kicking my ass. He's got 6 wins, 6-2, and I'm 5-3. So he deserves to be on the left. So he's earned that for 1 week.
It's the podium.
It's mate, you're starting 17 for the all concussion team. They put on a show last week.
I was going to talk about that. Can I just say though, shout out to the boys who I gave a start and opportunity to, and they went out and delivered. There was some fine, led by again Kalen Ponga himself. Fantastic.
Concussion immortal, he is. But yeah, soft touch went down easy as piss, like a nice cold beer at 5:30 p.m. That's how easy he went down.
It's the culture of the club that we provided.
It's all about the culture.
It's about the culture.
Question about the club. What's your junior system like?
Junior system. Listen, when we're not a development squad, we are more of the sort of like the Roosters pathways. We will buy the talent in from other clubs, and if you look at a lot of our players, Ponga, he's a Cowboys product. Keary was a Souths product. A lot of the players, Corey Haru-Naira, did he cop one on the weekend, didn't he, or did he give one? He got one or the other. I think it was one. I think he gave one. I think he gave one. Yeah, I think he did.
Flying out the line.
Yeah. I was like, I'm proud. It was a proud moment. Again, Penrith boy, like we bring the talent in. We don't develop our own.
No, it was good. Look, really happy that the footy's on. We've got another round of preview, so let's not fuck around for too long. Let's get straight into this, shall we? Kicking it off, your very first game's at Thursday at 8 p.m, 4 Pines Park. It's the Manly Sea Eagles versus the Parramatta Eels. So the line in this one is 2.5 points. Manly are your favourites. The totals are 41.5 in this one. Quick recap on the performance last week. Sea Eagles, they got the points. Sitting close to the top of the ladder at the moment. Didn't concede a point last week, so great for their for and again.
Didn't score either.
Parramatta, fucking hell. Absolute shit show against Cronulla. There were points everywhere. Very frail out on the edges. And I think if you look at their lineup, it's kind of expected. They're not built with the best second rows to make tackles, I'll tell you that. But yeah, letting a lot of points. Cronulla beat them without Nico. Disappointing for Para fans. I was actually had a couple of screenshots of different Para fans on Facebook blowing up the Lux. Brad's not playing his bench. Moses' head is elsewhere. Wonga's got a plastic hand. Like, it was all happening. So they come into this game as underdogs against Manly. I'm taking Manly in this one quite confidently, 2.5. I do have one hesitancy around it. And the reason is that it feels too obvious. Like, I think everyone's going to be taking Manly. But I do have a few reasons why. But before I get to that, I wanted to see what your thoughts were on this game.
Yeah, I'll be tipping. I'm not betting this game. I'll be tipping Manly. Again, I agree. I think this screams out that it's a Manly come after. I just can't believe how bad Para looked last week against a Nico Hines-less Sharks and how defensively brittle they are. That's where I think Manly are going to be those teams where, they put these teams to the sword that can't defend. It's the higher quality defensive teams are going to struggle. And yeah, I just think after what Melbourne dished up. Again, this is like form, but Melbourne dished up against them in round 1, beat them round 1, and they got flogged. I know they're missing months. They got flogged by the Dogs, who Manly flogged in the first round. It should be, but I'm just staying clear in case Parramatta all of a sudden show up and it's a closer game, or again, we're judging Manly on one game, which is a bit risky. But historically, between the two teams, it's high scoring. So last year there was 56 points scored and 42 points. So points are on offer pending weather. I haven't checked the weather though for Thursday, but it is pissing down at the moment in Penrith. So
it is. I actually considered the overs in this one too, but there's one reason why I'm not. I think Bradville ripping into the boys because last week they were terrible. They're not a bad team. They're just playing below their standard at the moment. It could be a game where they bounce back and clean up defensively. But the reason why I'm taking Manly minus 2.5, firstly, talking about the loss, they lost 36-20 against Parramatta in their last matchup last year. That actually happened the week after the Pride jersey saga. So this is at the peak of their shit patch. They had the Roosters the week of the Pride jersey thing. They had Parramatta the week after. They also had no Tommy, and they obviously got torn to shreds. Also, Parramatta's attack with Hodjo there, it's looking a little bit Canberra-like in the opposition 20. A lot of crash plays. So I think Junior Polo, fucking Campbell Gillard, these fuckers probably set a career high in tries scored this season. So not loving their attack. Their defense, as we know, was atrocious last week. Very weak around the edges at the moment. They've got your mate Cardi Party and Matt Dory as their starting edges. And I think Olakau'atu up against Bryce is it's not a fair matchup. But you've even got Tuolungi on the other side against Matt Dory. I think he's got the advantage too. You've got Schuster who's going to be sweeping around the back. He's going to be sweeping all night long.
First game back.
Guarantee he's going to have a no-look cutout pass, Garrick to score. That's happening.
That's $1.01 and no-look pass.
$1.01. That is happening. So, yeah, I don't like Parramatta will improve in their defense, I think. Their attitude will be better, but it's just the cattle. They don't have the cattle for it out wide, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think Manly have that strong advantage on the edges. So, that's why I'm taking Manly. Any last thoughts on this before we get into the next one?
No, covered it.
All right, let's get straight into it. So, the following game is perfect, actually. Who do we have? We've got
Knights and Dolphins.
Knights and Dolphins. I fucking wrote down Knights versus Newcastle like an idiot. So we've got Newcastle versus the Dolphins. The line in this one is 4.5. If you were smart, I looked at this on Sunday and then I looked at it again on Monday and it kept moving and moving. I think the Dolphins were $2.30 to win at one point. It's completely swung around. Knights have quite a few outs. So the line's now 4.5. Dolphins first time as favorites in this one. Yeah, I was, if you asked me on Monday, definitely going to play the Dolphins. Now that the odds have shifted, lines moved, the 99% of the public is on the Dolphins right now. I'm personally not touching this one because I just worry now that they're expected to win a game, what type of attitude are they going to turn up with? I think this could be a garbage game and the unders could be on here. What do you think?
I'm on the 99% public. For me, with the Dolphins, I obviously did not give them a chance at the start of the year. They've definitely proved me wrong. But I still stand by this team in terms of depth. So whilst they are at this full strength, they are going to be very hard to beat. Competitive, but again, not a top 8 team. So I am taking the 4.5, and that is on the back of also the Knights are just depleted. They're missing their 9-1 are gone, so they're missing their starting hooker and their fullback. Representative forwards in Saifidi and Frizzell. And it just shows when you look at their bench. I don't know who Ryan Rivet is, never heard of him. Dylan Lucas, again, never heard of him. Jack Johns is there by name. And Croker arguably is there because he's mates with Ponga. So they are all of a sudden, they've got a guy also on the reserves in 22, Thomas Can't. You see, he's on CNT. He cannot play. Versus, again, it's not a bad interchange for the Dolphins. Like Mark Nichols coming off the bench with Ray Stone.
Fantasy All-Star Mark Nichols, by the way.
Yes. So I think that, again, they're going to be okay while they've had no injuries and they've got that depth. At least Kafusi will kill one of these back rowers. I hope he goes after Jack Hetherington and we just get man-on-man murder. That'd be a brawl.
Tom Gilbert's a bit crazy too.
Yeah, who could go after Tyson Gamble and get one for his mates? Maybe, I don't know, but for me, they're just. I like the way they're playing at the moment. I think again, once they get a couple injuries, that's when we start to look at them, and they have none. Like Jeremy Marshall King is out, but yeah,
Cody's in. The Hammer's been impressive. I doubted him. You doubted him.
Let me go wrong. I still doubt this team. When they get a couple of injuries come middle of the season, they will be awful. Like they'll be begging for the end of the year while they're at full strength and they're playing understrength Newcastle, very average Canberra team, who again I don't think will make the 8, and a Roosters team who are way off the mark and took them lightly. They're going to win those games. So yeah, I'm backing them.
You're backing them? You're taking the Dollies?
Yep. I think Dolphins' first loss will be next week against the Broncos. That'll be fins up, baby.
Fins up. I fucking love this. If I scored a try, I would do that regardless of what team I played for. The Fins, baby. Yeah. Look, I agree. I think it could be a Dolphins blowout based on form and lineup changes, but it is a game in the Hunter. We're out in McDonald Jones Stadium. The Knights are up against the wall. First road game for the Dolphins. First game that they're actually expected to win. There could be a bedsheet here. I think this is an absolute blowout or an upset. That's how I think it goes. So, yeah, I'm not touching it. I'll have a multi on it because I'm a degenerate gambler. But into the game that I think we all want to see. Fucking hell.
Mind you, St. Patrick's Day, there'll be a lot of intoxicated individuals at 8 p.m. this Friday night.
Oh, God. There's going to be biffs everywhere. So you got the Sydney Roosters versus South Sydney Rabbitohs. The line in this one's 2.5. Souths are the favourite. Total points, you're looking at 39.5 in this one. So I got a lot of big ins from both teams. I called out last week, not touching the Rabbitohs because they didn't have any props. Well, Totola's back in. Not a massive name, but clearly their best prop. For the Roosters, Jared's back in, so a little bit of crazy. And if you want crazy, just chuck Radley in the mix because he's back too. So a couple of psychopaths for the Roosters. Teddy's got his contract, so who knows what happens there. But an excellent matchup. I think this is the matchup of the round, to be honest, as I look across the board. It's at Allianz. Should be a great game, refereed by Gerard Sutton. What are your thoughts on this one? Are you the public's, I think, heavily on South. This line moved 1 point already in the last few days. And it was a line that a lot of people should have taken. 1.5 is a great line, 2.5, not so much. But where are you playing this one? You're leaning, you're tipping?
I am playing this one. I am on Souths minus the 2.5. The reason being, again, Roosters don't look like a complete team at the moment. I don't know what's going on. Players, they cleared Brandon Smith of rib damage. I don't know why could he play 60 minutes last week? That's weird for me. Victor Radley, welcome back from obviously his HIA team representative duties. Again, he's probably due another knock. They just don't seem to be gelling or clicking. Again, they're similar to last year's slow starters. I think South, on the other hand, were very convincing against Cronulla, who then went out and put basically a score on Parramatta. And against Penrith, they played a Penrith team that went back to how they played last year, and they just didn't get a chance. And they still scored 2 tries and got
Souths were just up against the ropes the whole game. Very impressed. Very impressed.
Still had a chance to level it on the last play. So they still, despite absolutely getting dominated for 70 minutes in terms of field position through the middle, couldn't get a crack. And Penrith arguably given a try that probably was a knock on as well. They were very close to even snatching that. So again, as I said, I have South second on my table, and I think they're just, again, while they still haven't got injuries, that's a very good team across the park. So I'm taking the 2.5. I saw Tane Milne is actually on the reserves back from suspension, so maybe chuck him on and get him to kill someone as well.
That's a bit of crazy.
Yeah.
I reckon he hits Radley high. Ref doesn't call it, and Radley goes nuts.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Look, I'm taking South minus 2.5 in this one. Roosters, again, they're slow starters to the year. I wasn't impressed with what they did last week, so I faded them at halftime, and that Warriors play cash pretty easy. Kieran Walker not taken on the line, so not very impressed by that. And big thing for me is the second row. Their second row is still weak. They got the Butcher Boys.
Yeah, the Butchers and the Bakers.
The Butchers and the Bakers. So they got both the Butchers in the second row. Not heavily impressed by them. Cheekham's actually outperforming his value in fantasy, which means he's playing better than he's expected to. But Kaloa Matangi playing quite strong, aggressive young fellow, whipping that bloody rat tail everywhere. So I'm liking South. They got very gutsy effort last week. Latrell's looking professional. Campbell Graham looks really good. He looks fucking strong as he's gets through a grunt or work, that bloke. So impressed by him.
Yeah, he was good last week.
Yeah, and look, Totola back's a big in. Damien Cook clearly fighting for an Origin spot every single week by the looks of it. So it's his last chance to impress this year. I think if he doesn't make Origin this year, probably never does. So yeah, taking South -2.5 in this one. It should be a great game. I'm really thinking a 1 to 10. I don't think they run a train through them, but I think they make the big plays when it counts. Let's get into our slutty Saturday, shall we? Kicking it off at 3 p.m. It's the Gold Coast Titans versus the Melbourne Storm. This is at Seabus on the Gold Coast. The line in this one's 6.5 points. Melbourne are your favourites. The totals are 41.5. What do we have? Both teams I backed last week, believe it or not, and they both absolutely shit the bed. Like it wasn't even close. Titans were just throwing the game away. Just throwing it like fucking Tom Brady in his prime, absolutely throwing that motherfucker for a couple 100 yards. And Melbourne, geez, that was one hell of an ambush. Like Craig Bellamy was just thinking about retiring the whole first half. But the Storm do get some players back. Apparently Justin Mullins back, Tarek Sims, Kamika, Xavier Coates. Does strengthen them a little bit. Titans lose Jojo Fafita, Sam Verrills, but Brian Kelly's back in. So Chris Randall gets a start at 9 as well. What are your thoughts on this one? I don't have a particular one that I've picked. I do have my reasons as to why, but are you playing this game? You think there's a bounce back in either team?
No, I was close to playing Melbourne -6.5, just on the back of
they got to respond, right?
They got to respond, and there's a lot of ins when you're adding Tarek Sims onto that bench. They got depth. Kamika is going to be strong up front. That's again not a bad team, but they did lose
Nelson,
Big Nelson.
Yeah.
So Kamika and that kind of cancel each other out. And that's where they're just beaten through the middle basically by the Dogs.
Yeah.
They just couldn't.
Nelson was their only chance, really.
Yeah.
As soon as he went off, injured or some shit.
The team just went to shit basically, and
that's
I'm avoiding it, but I would like I'm gonna have probably my Anaconda Melbourne -6.5 just on the fact that the Titans beat the Tigers, who are clearly the worst team in rugby league at the moment, by a mile, but then got flogged by the Dragons, who everyone thought was going to be the worst team in the rugby league. The Tigers,
I'll get them halfway through the year, I'm telling you.
So beating the Tigers by 12 after what happened on Sunday Leichhardt really isn't that impressive to me. Yep. So I don't think they're as good as people like gave them praise for after the Tigers game, whereas Melbourne, I feel like they just ran into a Dogs team that, as you said, ambushed them. I couldn't believe it. 13 plus. Like, that's crazy.
I know. I was doing the same. I was leaning Melbourne, and I was like, they've got to respond after that fucking shit show. They have to. They've got to be better. But I also think the Titans have to be. I don't think you could play a worse game than what they did last week. It was fucking disgusting.
They couldn't hold on to
terrible. That was the only game of the round where I switched it off. Like, I think 20 minutes to go, I just turned it off. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, I chose to vacuum the house over watching the rest of this game.
Yeah, it's a big call.
It's a big call. So I think the Titans have a chance to respond as well. This is played in Gold Coast. We know that historically the Titans have been a terrible team away from the Gold Coast. So I think that part made me not want to take this line. It could be a close one that Melbourne gets out to. I was thinking overs as well. I think both teams are capable of putting up some points, but they haven't shown me that so far this year. So preferring not to touch it at all. We'll have a same game multi on it, but yeah, nothing too arousing. Second game, your slutty Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. It's the North Queensland Cowboys versus the New Zealand Warriors. Cowboys are favourites, 9.5. Big fucking line. Totals 41.5. Cowboys, unfortunate victims of the Reece Walsh show last week. The Warriors, gutsy in their loss to the Roosters, but the Roosters weren't that great, to be honest. Peter Hicky's out. Drinkwater's clearly out. But big outs for the Warriors. Chance is out. he's been playing pretty strong at the back.
Yeah.
Jackson Ford only played for 4 minutes, and I know that specifically because he was in my fantasy
In
team.
your fantasy team as well? Yep, same.
Yep. So Jackson Ford might add him to the concussion team, I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this one? We both reacted the same way initially when we saw the line. It's like, oh, it's a bit big. 9.5 is a big one.
Bit
but it is in
big
North
because
Queensland.
it is in North Queensland. But again, I'd like to see how they go with our drink water. This is now they're starting.
Now they don't have the hammer.
Now they're starting to get. This is what last year they had this dream run where they seemed to never have injuries, and when they did, it was an okay time. They had depth. Now they got this kid Tom Chester playing. It's surprised they didn't just put Val Holmes back there and rejig the team, but they've stuck to their guns on it. So it'd be very
Brendan Elliott in the centers or something.
Yeah, again, this will be interesting because, as I said, I think they're going to be the biggest drops this year in surprises, and the way the Broncos, and I said the Broncos will make the 8, the way they got towed up in that game last week at Suncorp, that was I was a happy man with that. And this is where we'll see how they get tested. Unfortunately for me, betting against them, I can't against the Warriors. I just think, for me, the Warriors are too hot and cold, and I need a few more points to be confident in the Warriors, and also a Warriors team that doesn't have Charms out at the fullback position as well. So
yeah, 12.5 would have been
12.5 would have been very juicy, and I probably would have taken it on that.
Yeah,
but these are the games where Cowboys have to win convincingly. Otherwise, I'm more confident that they are going to struggle when they play the better teams. They do have a very good draw though. Like for the first few weeks while the drink water. Is he out for 3 weeks? Is he? Yeah,
3 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So he misses literally the Warriors game, Titans, and then Dogs. Dogs will be a big test. But then they play the Dolphins and the Warriors again, then the Knights. It's not until really round 9 when it starts to get tough for them, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no, that's true. I got no read on this one, to be honest. I like the Warriors more, so my natural bias leans me that way. But yeah, Sean Johnson still not sold on. Like after 10, 12 years in the leagues, can't figure out how to finish a set properly. Like you just, I get you can't run anymore. Like I get that happens. You decline with age, so I can forgive him for that. His ball playing is still there, but fucking hell, he can't do the right kicks. Like every single time, it's garbage. It's like watching a guy playing in his first year. It's like I don't know what to do, so I'll just bomb it.
Yeah.
That's all he's really doing. So it's not very impressive, unfortunately. So yeah, not sure what's going to happen in this one, but I'll have a same game multi on it as always, but no solid pick on this one. One that I was very close to is the Brisbane versus St. George game. So my Broncos, mate, 11.5 favourites. It should be 17.5 to be honest, but bookie's been generous. 11.5 is the line. Totals of 42.5. It's the second highest total point line for the round. Obviously, Brisbane off the back of the Reece Walsh clinic last week. Corey Oates broke his fucking face. He's gone for about 2 months. So Jesse Arthur's in, who was our 18th man last week. And the St. George Dragons haven't made any changes to their team from last week. 11.5. Won't piss in your pocket here. It's a great line. Great line for the bookies. I think whoever set this fucking line's a legend because it got me torn. It got me torn. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
The line's bang on for me. Obviously, Broncos should win. I think 11.5 is just a bit too much or not quite enough for me to jump in at. Do you know Dragons have beaten you guys 4 in the last 5?
Yep.
Including twice at Suncorp. That's crazy to me how bad the Dragons have been. I know you guys have been up and down, but they don't mind you playing you guys, the Dragons, is my point. So I won't be touching this game. If there's something I would possibly, again, pending weather, I think the overs in this game. I could see points being scored here. I think last week showed with Reece Walsh, you can attack. And I think the Dragons are going to play that style issue where they just throw the ball around. I think Griffin knows that he can't try and play defensively, and they did throw the ball around.
Ben Hunt till he breaks, really.
Correct. But again, I'm not betting it. Otherwise, I think I'll tip Broncos, but that line's just on. So,
yeah, I think there's too much risk in this one. So, again, similar to the Dolphins play, Broncos, big favourites for this one. I don't know if they can perform at that level. We've had, 2 difficult games in the first 2 rounds. Easy to get up for, right? Easy to get up for. We're a very young side, so mentally, are they going to be as prepared as they should be to go out and dust these motherfuckers up? Because that's what they should do. But will they be up for it? It's the easiest game that they've had so far this year. We know that the Dragons do have a great record against Brisbane in recent years. We also know that the Dragons are a great team in the first quarter of the year. Great team as well. So this game carries a lot of risk for me. I am very biased. Do want my Broncos to win, and they will. But will they cover this line? I could not confidently tell you. And me being as professional as I am, I'm choosing not to bet on this game for all the punters out there who follow these tips. So yeah, nothing from me, but I do hope Reece Walsh absolutely goes crazy. And I'm really interested to see the Lomax v Katoni Stags matchup. Lomax is now playing on the left. Katoni's a very angry motherfucker defensively, and everything Lomax gets in this game, I think he deserves. So
fair call.
Very keen for that one. All right, let's get into your seedy Sunday. Traditionally reserved for the shittest teams in the competition. If this was last year, we would bang on with this one, but we've got the West Tigers versus the Canterbury Bulldogs. The line in this one is 9.5. The Dogs are the favourite. They're only $1.35 head to head. The total for this one's 41.5. The Tigers, I got a bad read on them. I said they'd be pushing around the top 8. I thought 9th was on the cards, but
I had a mate.
Terrible. These guys are so bad at football. Like, it just goes to show that maybe Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah, they were just relying on instinct and feel for the game whilst they were playing. Now that they're finished, they can't communicate what the fuck people are supposed to do because there's something going wrong in this fucking club. They're bloody awful, and I'm done. I'm finished with them. They've cost me too much money. The Dogs impressed me last week with the ambush on Melbourne. Reid Marnie is excellent. Kick out defensively. The same bloke we saw last year at Penrith. Absolute freak. Matt Burton wasn't kicking the ball out on the full every third kick. Carraz is a workhorse. So I could also say Adokar, he was actually taking some hit ups in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas in the previous week, he didn't want to touch it. No. Not at all. So yeah, the Tigers are shit, and I'm confident to say that again. Luke Brooks, get ready for some pressure, mate, because it's coming in the following weeks. There's also some insider info that there's potential for Dewey not to play this game.
Really? That's going to fuck my fantasy team big time.
Yep. Just as a heads up,
God.
There's a chance that he doesn't play. I don't know if it's because of the cramps he got in the end of the last game, but yeah, there's a chance he doesn't suit up. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I'm taking the Dogs.
I am taking
emotional bet.
Nah, not emotional. It's logical.
Can you put some logic into this? Because
I'll put some logic. When Appy and kick out left Penrith, everyone's like, Penrith are going to miss Appy so much and everything. And then he did that press little thing back at the club, and he made that joke about going to the Tigers to win a comp. That bloke meant it. He does not give a flying fuck about playing rep football, winning football. He just wants to catch a check. He's done. He is so demotivated on the field. He doesn't create anything. He's not near the player he was last year. A player that's been to 3 grand finals in a row and played State of Origin and a World Cup. He's done. That's the first point. Second point is John Bateman. How can a guy, firstly, they have visa issues with, during that time apparently not train, be not ready, come to the country 2 weeks ago, and still is another week away or so till he plays. He clearly does not give a fuck either. That's another point. Papali'i. This bloke was running over the top of people at Parramatta, try scoring machine. Anytime try to score, chuck him in your multi. Killing it. Does not give a fuck at the Tigers. You can tell who gives a fuck at Tigers. It's literally Dewey and...
Dewey pulls through tackles.
Twal, maybe you could make the argument for. Even if Norfoluma went to Melbourne and was a different man. He was like, no, they're very professional. To the point where he was linked to probably staying there. Comes back to he's the same fucking Norfoluma that was at the Tigers. Was awful. He's awful. And I'm sorry. Charlie Staines is so fucking shit. And he is your fullback this week because Dane Laurie's out. Again, their little spark they have, gone. Tommy Talau, gone. Jake Simpkin, if there was one player who actually looked good off the bench, it was Jake Simpkins when he came on for Appy. The team actually looked better with him. He's not playing now. So they are fucked. Like, they could not be. I can't get over how bad this team and club are set up and running, because they had one of the best, apart from the team they're playing this week, probably the best off-season for recruiting.
Yeah.
And they have gone from wooden spoon to probably worse somehow than the wooden spoon. They're going to go set from 16th to 17th, which it's hard to do a wooden spoon to 17th, but they're going to go worse this year. They are that shit. Like, even after the game, with Jackson Hastings and Talau and Clement coming over and shoving him, I'm like, fuck, man, you're the biggest pussy on the field. Like, I don't see him face to face, so I'm going to call him a pussy. Like, they're just so, like, shit. Like, I can't get over how bad that team is. People like Stefano Tokumanu, whatever he pronounces his name, I reckon if you put him in a better system, it'd be a gun.
He was meant to be the next Payne Haas, that guy.
Yeah, but I think just because he's at that shit club, he's shit. You put him in the Penrith system and he probably would be pushing, Moses Leota's starting spot. Playing the playing the Dogs, on the other hand, who clearly, this is their first home game of the season as well. So the ground is going to be fucking packed. So they're going to have that atmosphere behind them, hype and everything. They couldn't have asked for an easier team to have their first home game against. I didn't have him in my starting fantasy, and I am reading Lachlan's comments about bagging me about fantasy, mate. Season's young, and I've seen your team. It's shit. But Jacob Preston is going to be a gun. Like, he is like the next Hopgood. So I think these players coming through are going to be very good. I'm that confident. That's my best bet of the week, them covering the 9.5.
Boom! Take the Dogs cover that 9.5. I'd take it all the way up to 12, 11.5.
Yeah.
Because this line's going to keep moving throughout the week. Let me tell you. Fuck you, Tigers, you shit pricks. Final game of the round. It's the Canberra Raiders. Your Canberra Raiders versus the Cronulla Sharks. Cronulla are the favourites. It's a 3.5 line. Line set at 43.5 in total points. So the bookies are expecting a shit ton of tries. It's going to be a great one. First game at GIO Stadium this year. Papali'i's still out. Nico Hines is still out. So very much the same teams you have been saying over the past couple of weeks. You'll see them once again in this one. What are your thoughts on this one? You like fading the Raiders, but you're man enough to do it here?
I'm fading them. I'm on the Sharks. I don't like the Raiders. Like, they're shit as well. Like, they are so shit. Like, I can't get over, like, that Dolphins game. They should have won. Again, they had so many opportunities to win it. They went over early. Thank you. By the way, I did have Jack White in first try scorer again, like I did in Origin. As soon as I was pissing down rain, I'm like, he doesn't pass regardless. He's never passing in the rain. He's just going to run.
Yeah.
And he literally scored in the corner. So the center and the winger could have scored if he passed it, but didn't. I don't rate. And historically, between these two teams, it's usually the away team. I remember for a while there, the away team was always winning. You can go like way back to like 2016 when Sharks won the comp. They actually lost the first week of the finals and against Canberra. And then basically since then,
Canberra was good though.
Yeah, but they were just alternating since then. Like, it's just basically the away team seems to have a better trek to it, whereas Canberra, every time they go to Cronulla Shark Park, they seem to do all right. I'll tell you who is over the hill and fucking overrated and probably on a shit ton of money. Elliot Whitehead. Fuck, he's bad.
Yeah.
They're just, again, Raiders just look too big. They're just too... The team just seems to be so power through the middle. Even Sebastian Chris is a running fullback. Like, and Jack Wine's running. They do not have like
not a fullback.
Yeah, well, he's in that
guy that runs.
Nick Kotrick. Their whole team, there's nothing that looks at this team that says to me they are going to throw some good passing or kicking game. It's crash bang plays basically is their way to get over. And I think
Kennedy looked good last week for the Sharks.
He did. And until Papali'i's back, then that Raiders team are going to struggle. Sharks, on the other hand, I think that people were picking them to slide. I think they've shown they don't need Nico unless it's the big games.
Slide.
Yeah, I think they'll drop a little bit, but I still think they'll be fighting for that top four.
They're not guaranteed that top four spot with the Broncos in competition.
No, with South, Penrith, and I even think Melbourne, when they get their players back, those three are basically your top three, and that fight for fourth is going to be tight. So, I'm taking them to cover the line. As I said, it doesn't matter though. Ricky Stewart will never be under pressure, but I think the Sharks beat him.
Well, you, my friend, are a fucking idiot. So for the first time this season, we're going head to head on a pick here. I'm taking the Canberra Raiders plus 3.5 because no one fucking will. I'm getting them plus 3.5 at almost $2, which shows you the line's still moving towards Cronulla. The money's coming in for Cronulla, and I'm going to fade it here. I think Canberra have a point to prove. They've lost their 2 games. Both games are on the road. They're finally back at home in Canberra, GIO Stadium. They're going to have the fucking horn out. These fucking Vikings are coming. They're going to be clapping that ass for Cronulla Shark fans. They've also won the last 5 games against Cronulla. Doesn't matter where the fuck they play. Canberra's coming for them. I don't know how they've won them because I agree. They don't play well. The way that they play is fucking stupid. Jack Whiten kicks it out on the full or he doesn't pass. They don't have a fullback that can pass. The only bright light I think I saw in that Canberra Raiders game was Tomoko. He was fucking strong as. He was pulling through every tackle, which was quite impressive. He'll be up against Talakai this week. So there's going to be some fireworks on that side. I think there's going to be an overreaction to Cronulla's win last week. I think Parramatta were very average, which made Cronulla look even better. Cronulla played good. Not going to take something away from them. But a lot of people, I think, are going to overreact to that game. I think they played a lot better than I would expect them to play every single week. And I think they come back to reality. I think this game's going to be messy and ugly. I think the line is at 43.5, but the unders could be on here because Canberra's probably not going to contribute 4 or 5 tries. So in Canberra's losses, they've only given up 3 tries in each game. So it's not like they're just cracking defensively. They just can't score. They get their opportunities. And if fucking Hudson Young just tries to score out of dummy half every single time. You know what he's doing. Yeah. He surprised a few people last season with that play, but it's not working so far this year. But, yeah, look, this is my least confident pick out of the 4 that I have. But I was somewhat confident in the 4 I picked last week, and 2 of them were not even close. Not even close. What did I take? I took Melbourne minus
Melbourne was my loss. The Melbourne minus 7.5. I was confident in that too.
Yeah, I messaged you straight after it saying, "Fuck, we read this game wrong."
It was half time, wasn't it? You messaged me. I think it was saying it was half time. We've read this one wrong. I'm like, yep, this one's done.
Yeah, so we got that one wrong by give or take about 20 points. And then even the Titans game, I was somewhat confident in that one because I hate the Dragons. But again, I was too emotional on that one. I got that one wrong by about 20 points too. So I think a lot of people are going to be back in Cronulla here, and I'm not going to be one of them. So I think this could become the decider for this week. And this could be the one that gets me back on the left side of the screen.
Could be.
This could get me back into the podium.
Really could.
Fuck it. If I get this one right, regardless of how the rest of the round goes, I'm going back on the left side of the screen, I think.
All right, yeah, that's the deal. You beat me on that, you go left side of the screen. Regardless, you go 1 and 3, but that's the one you go.
Yeah, okay. If I go 1 and 3, provided Canberra's my 1, I'm back on the left side. I'm in the driver's seat, baby. All right, cool. Quick recap for me. If you like my analysis, if you like the way my head shines in the light, or if you're just a Broncos fan like me, I'm taking Manly, Souths, Canterbury, and Canberra to cover. Those are my 4. Give me a quick recap. Luke, what do you got?
I got Dolphins minus 4.5, Souths minus 2.5, Dogs minus 9.5, and Sharks minus 3.5. So I'm backing these favourites to cover these lines in half the games.
You're a dangerous man. So I think 2 out of our 4 are the same.
Yeah, we got Souths and Dogs, I believe are the 2.
Souths and Dogs. Let's call those our best of the week. All right, punters, put those 2 together as a multi and just start thinking about how you're going to spend your winnings because we shouldn't be wrong.
We're never wrong. We've got winning records, boys. Winning records.
We are never wrong. I don't know were there any headlines happening in the NRL at the moment? All I just hear is this Ponga fucking concussion bullshit.
There was the idiot at Penrith on Thursday night during halftime.
The racism stuff. Yeah, look.
Yeah, the Roosters.
I can be a very loose fellow when I'm drinking or if I'm watching sport, but things like that are said in the comfort of your own home or your friend's home when their mums are home. But it's still, you don't do it in public. You don't fucking do it at a sports game. I don't think that's on. I'd be more worried that someone would flog me for just saying that, to be honest, because that's a coward puncher's dream right there. Like if you're a coward puncher 6 beers in and you hate racism and you hear that, someone's getting punched in the back of the head at a football game out in Penrith.
Correct.
So, yeah, not a big fan of that. That shouldn't happen. Like I say some terrible things, but nah, not a big fan of that one. Haven't seen NRL 360 at all this week. I know that they're back, but haven't really had a chance. What's
they're talking about the Tigers, how shit the Tigers are. That's been the theme at the
who
moment.
are they blaming? Who's the pressure on? Is it on Sheen?
No, last week it was on Sheen's because they didn't start Coruscant. But I think it's just the whole club they're going after now. So
and rightly so. I think fucking Bateman comes into this game 10 kilos lighter than he was. He looks so small.
He was small when back in like 2018, 19, he was a small forward. He looks even smaller now.
Yeah.
And again, from all reports, wherever that Super League club were very happy to let him go. So it's they're fucked. As I said, they could not be more fucked if they tried.
An absolute rooting. All right, wonderful. We're not going to talk try scorers because we're both in agreement. So those are a fucking scam. If you do want to do try scorers, pick a first try scorer. Those are always fun and exciting. Pay quite a bit too. You seem to be hitting one every single fucking week. Do you have one already in store? You got a solid first try scorer that you're thinking? It's not Jack Wyden, is it?
Nah, he's too short. Oh, no, Jack White's not bad, but I don't think they'll win. So I usually will back a first try for a team that I think will win. It's been a lot of centres, to be honest, this year. So far, I've noticed.
The wing.
Sorry? No, the ball isn't. The ball isn't going to the wing, and that's where I'm finding even like Jack Whiten's try. That probably would have been a centres try if he'd passed it. But Friday night, first try was Stephen Crichton. Panthers the week before was Stephen Crichton. Yes, it was Campbell Gillard, but then that game kind of that Sharks Eels game was a bit of a fucking nuffy game. Again, Stags did score the other day, I believe, as well for the Broncos. The Roosters game, I think it was Jackson Paulo scored, not Joey Manu.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't got anything yet. When I do sniff something out, I'll post it in the Discord for you boys to jump on.
Post it. Did you happen to see the it's been doing the rounds, the milestone multi which hit from the NRL stats?
Yeah.
So he's been doing that type of multi every fucking week for years.
Yeah, remember I got you onto his page like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Yeah. And he has that, and then he'll have the nudie run try scorers leading up to the end. Like he posts a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
And look, it's crazy how much traction he's got. Big group. I read through what he puts up every single week. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of those stats aren't relevant. But look, they are stats. I get it. And quite impressive. I think for me, I would have picked the Moses one for sure. That one is a great one. The other two I wouldn't go near. So, but if you're only making these pick purely because it's a milestone game, I still don't think it's a great strategy because, and I've said this before around the milestones thing, but I think last year you were right on the Aiden Tolman one. Remember that? You were right about that one. But I feel, well, it's not what I feel. Milestone multis, and the reason why it gains so much traction, it's not because they're more likely to score in their milestone match. It's just the fact that it's going to be brought up if they score.
Yes.
And that's why it garners so much attention. And the perception is that you're more likely. But the reality is that you're not. You're not more likely to score in a milestone game. It's just guaranteed to be talking about if you do score a try. Then that leads people to believe if it's a milestone game, we're fucking on here. So
the only thing which
the
only thing I didn't like with that NRL stats, because I've followed him for a few years, is he sells his sheets now. Like, he puts up one free one, and I'm like, nah, it's not. Again, that's not what I'm about. What we do, I don't like selling tips again because this guy's selling stat sheets and people, and we suggested tips on it. Which, and again, for anyone who's followed him, I'm not saying like he's done a great job, but if you're betting try scorers, it's very volatile. Like you could go weeks of just blanking, and it's very hard for people to stay sticking to that staking plan when you could go 2-3 rounds without a try scorer. And then on the Friday, you get both the anytime try scorers and a multi or something. But yeah, like Lachlan Fitzgibbon, I wouldn't have picked him. His try scoring seems to have gone for the last couple of years. Sam Verrills as well. Yeah, like fair play to him. I know they put up one this week already as well, so I'm going to plug it. It's paying 409 to 1. You watch it get up, and we won't be on it. But he's got Brad Parker, Tom Gilbert, Tohu Harris, Jesse Ramian. I'll tell you what, if you're down to the last leg and you need Jesse Ramian, you'd be very nervous of a 400 to 1 multi. So,
absolutely. I remember he put up a post just kind of recapping the whole year.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the fucking outcome was, but I was like, not surprised by this one. What are we looking at? By round 22 last year, we're approaching 100 units profit, which is excellent. They had 14 profitable rounds at that point.
But how many did he stake? How many units had he staked?
Yeah, I think I don't have the data on that. Because if you only calculate your units profit.
Yeah, like that could be, he's 100 units up, but you've had to bet 1,000 stake to get 1,100 back, which your ROI isn't great. And again, that is a lot, like that's hitting a lot of blanks before you hit one. As I said, it's good, the stats, but as he said, once he started, selling these sheets and everything, which is literally just grabbing the data, I'm sure he's scraping it from a website as well. I'm not too keen on following it. It's good. It's actually useful. They used to be good if you're out on the beers with your mates and you want to put a quick same game multi on. You can just have a look at players and just pick a few and chuck in a multi. But as I said, very, very swingy.
Absolutely. Here's a bit of a summary he had after it's like 3 quarters through the year. Anytime try scorer strike rate is at 48%. Average odds of $2.20.
Yeah.
So
you're slightly up.
No, that's not. Yeah.
Maybe under, yeah.
Yeah, that's not the best. Value strike rate, though, is 41.8%, $3.90. So that's pretty good. A lot of second rowers, I assume.
Yeah.
Same game strike rate, 33%. Average odds of $12. So that's pretty good. But yeah, just anytime try scorers strike rate, that one's not good at all. So, but that's what gains the most traction, I believe. So,
yeah. But to be fair, he's hit the 151. If it's 150 to 1 multi, he's going to get a lot more love.
Well,
now,
yeah, you've just got to ride it, really. So he could fuck up for the next 8 weeks. He still hit the 150 to 1. But the same way that I can hit a couple anacondas every year, 3 to 4 of them, over 100 plus odds. I'm aiming to get at least 5 anacondas this year.
How many have you got so far?
Haven't got any on the NRL. Very close, but haven't landed. I hit one in the NBA just a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, it's been a minute, but quietly confident. Well, not that confident after the shit show last week, but I know I'm a lot better than that. So
yeah,
we shall see. I do have some bonus bets already lined up, so I should have one drawn up by tomorrow for all the followers out there in our Discord. We're going to come home. We might not do 100 to 1. Might settle for something $60 to $80 just to get the ball rolling. $50 bonus bet. Probably get about 4K. Not bad. Fill up your balance. I'm going to buy some new Broncos merch, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
So that's coming. But no, it's pretty exciting. So look, fuck. I digress. We're almost 50 minutes in. I've got to get some sleep. That's a lie. I'm going to play Call of Duty. But look, you've got the lead at the moment. You got 6 wins this year. I've got 5. We're both profitable, but
yes,
I'm shit. You're better than I am, and I don't like that. I'm very uncomfortable with the fact that I'm losing. So let's go, Canberra. Luke, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up same time last week. For everybody in the chat, I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the Discord what you guys are playing this week. We'll see you all next week. Holla at you, boy.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.